increasing evidence that even a 4 degrees Celsius increase in temperatures in the temperature of this planet, we're up a little less than 1 degree so far over pre-industrial times, that a 4-degree increase could well lead to a mass die-off of humans. And according to both the World Bank and the IPCC, at the current rate, we are headed for a 5-degree increase. Now, it was a 5-degree increase that kicked off the PETM, the Permian Eocene Thermal Maximum, which is a mass extinction event, a minor mass extinction event, but it would have taken out, were it to happen here now with us, probably most of humanity. It was apparently a 6-degree, more or less, that hit the tipping point to trigger the methane release that caused the Permian mass extinction, which totaled more like 12 to 14 degrees after the methane came out. And that killed everything. 98% of all life on Earth, 256 million years ago. And, that's one of 5 major extinctions. The PETM is one of probably a half a dozen minor extinctions. And here we are kind of blissfully going along like, nothing to worry about. And I got to tell you, there's something to worry about. And there's something we can do about it. Right now, we subsidize the fossil fuel industry, which is what's causing global warming. Very simply. And every country in the world will acknowledge it, except the United States, where our politicians and our media are being bought off by big oil. Our media is being bought off by big oil? Yeah, look at the ads they run on TV. They're spending hundreds of millions of dollars on these ads. Talking about, yes, we can do solar panel and gas at the same time, and we're wonderful people, and look at how safe our fracking is. And right, like I want to buy a fracking rig. I should buy an oil drilling rig. I mean, I can understand advertising buck naked underwear. Get a pair. It's actually a great ad. Never tried their product, but it looks good. I can understand advertising that on TV because you say, well, gee, maybe I'll buy that. I think I'll, call my local store or call the number or whatever. Or, the hose that expands, for your garden or, consumer products, of course. But when companies are buying ads in large quantities over long periods of time on network television, when they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars on network television, and they're not trying to get you to buy anything. At the most, they're trying to get you to think nicely of them. When that happens, very often the secondary agenda, and in fact, arguably the primary agenda, is don't talk about us. Don't investigate, don't talk about the role of fossil fuels in global warming. And so the question that I would like to ask in this hour, given that global warming represents, not just a serious threat to the long-term survival of the human race and pretty much all of the life on Earth, but that even today it is killing us. Look at the floods we just had in Texas. These are the clear consequence. I can't, scientifically, you can't say that particular storm came about because of this particular consequence of global warming. But because a warmer atmosphere can hold more moisture than a cooler atmosphere, and we all know this instinctively. You walk outside, and if it's below freezing, the relative humidity is very, very low. You can see your breath. It's not moist. The air is not moist. The air is dry. You take a shower, your hair dries off almost instantly. Whereas in the summer, when there's more moisture in the air has warmed up and it holds more moisture because that's just the nature of warm air. And you take a shower and your hair is wet for a half hour. Well, what's happened over the last 35, 40, 45 years, 50 years, something like that, in our lifetimes, is that the amount of moisture in our atmosphere has increased by 5%. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot, but that's evenly distributed all over the planet. So, it might not be 5% in the desert parts of the world, which means it might be 20% in that thunderstorm over Houston. And when you've got a lot more moisture, you've got a lot more violence in your storms. I took a picture out of the window of the airplane yesterday. I should send that to Jim. It was amazing. It was just, I was looking out from the plane at this deck of clouds, and popping out of the deck of clouds were two. They almost looked like Hiroshima bombs, except they weren't mushrooms. They were just columns. These two giant columns of white. That's not to say that's global warming or anything. It's just I'm just in awe of weather and climate. And weather and climate are two different things. But here's the question. We have people who are denying climate change, or at least denying the association between climate change and fossil fuel, because they're paid to do so. You have Jim Inhofe, the head of the Science Committee in the United States Senate, who takes money from the fossil fuel industry. He's paid to lie to us. You've got people like Mark Morano, who has been on this program many times, very well funded. The Heartland Institute, they're holding, what day is today? The 8th? Toward the end of this week, they're holding a global warming conference here in Washington, D.C., and they're going to have all these climate deniers who, I would say probably without exception, are funded in ways, major or minor, by the fossil fuel industries, directly or indirectly, or by foundations, like the Koch brothers made their fortune in the fossil fuels, and continue to. But Daddy really made the serious money with Joe Stalin in oil. And they're still running oil, and they've got tar sands up in Canada, they got refineries in the United States, they got pipelines. And so there are guys like Scott Walker, are going to say, oh, don't worry about it, go on, be happy. So my question, and I think that this is, consequential. Is denying climate change a crime against humanity? Is denying climate change something that we should take a stronger stand against? Is denying climate change, particularly for money, something for which we should have serious penalties? Now, I realize we don't have a history of this. For example, I watched astonished as the CEOs of either the top 5 or top 7 tobacco companies testified before Congress back in the 90s, as I recall, that no, Senator, tobacco does not cause addiction. Our product is not addictive. They were lying through their teeth under oath to Congress. Now, they were all multimillionaires, so of course they didn't go to jail or get arrested. There was no perp walks or anything because we have, a different a system of justice in the United States for genuinely rich and powerful people. And that's a whole nother rant. But should we be shaming people like that? But the reason I mentioned tobacco is because, we've known for 30, 40 years that, we've known for 70 years now, but, the general public has known for 30 or 40 years that the use of tobacco will kill you. And yet we still haven't been able to get our heads around prosecuting people who push it. Now, maybe that's because that'll kill you as an individual, right? That, but this would kill the human race. It has very much that potential. Do we shame climate deniers? I mean, some of that's going on. Or should we actually start criminalizing it, essentially? Is this a crime against humanity? Your thoughts after this.